Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know the drill. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Today I wanted to touch base once again on Gary Vee and Vegas Dave. I saw a video and Vegas Dave was talking about this is how you should prepare for the crash. And during the video, he made points that I 100% agreed with, and then some of the points I was like, no, I do not agree with this. And I will get into Gary Vee also later this video. One interesting note during that video, Vegas Dave called himself the GOAT. First of all, I don't know what GOAT calls himself the GOAT in public. When I see someone like that, I'm really skeptical of that person. I don't trust a lot of people, but when they seem to be egotistical like that, that's a red flag for me. But I'll still listen to them. May not agree with them. And Vegas Dave has made some good calls, don't get me wrong. He bought the Trout card, no doubt about that. He made, I believe, a significant amount of money during the 2015 World Series. He also he basically called the top in the sports card market in February or March of this year. And I talked about it at that time too. And what he was saying was that there's no point in buying an asset class that is too high. You want to buy low and sell high. That's a very good point. So when the market is crashing, that's when you start to buy. You don't buy and chase the hype. That was his point a few months ago, and he reiterated that right now. And from what I was looking at, he seems to be a lot smarter than the way he speaks. He speaks in a very brash manner, and he doesn't seem like a smart guy when he speaks. But that doesn't mean that he's not a smart guy. I've seen a lot of people that are really smart, but just talk like a regular guy, a common Joe. From my understanding, he understands technical analysis in the stock market, in markets. He knows to buy fear and sell greed. He probably knows psychology a lot better than most people out there. And he is also a very good marketing genius. Putting that aside, he was saying when this thing crashes, and why he believes the market's going to crash, because the Federal Reserve is going to be raising rates in the coming years. And I've been talking about this as well, to curb inflation. Inflation right now, even though the government says it's really low, I don't believe the government numbers. It's much higher than it is. You see oil prices at $73 a barrel. What happens in a few years when inflation gets a little more out of control? What is the Federal Reserve going to do when we see $5 a gallon gasoline, which maybe translates to $150 on the futures contracts a barrel? We saw that in 2008, June 2008. What happened then? The whole market crashed. And I see the same thing happening. Oil is going to get too high. People are going to have trouble paying for basic necessities, food, oil, etc. There's more imbalances in the economy. People have overpaid for their homes, as Vegas Dave is saying. And then bada bing, bada boom, you see whatever we've seen gone to the upside, it's going to go to the downside. And what he was trying to say is a lot of people borrowed money during this pandemic. It's on it's based on all this stimulus, all this funny money from the Fed. And what happens when everything comes tumbling down and you don't know if you're going to have a job in a few years for those that are employed? And people may just panic. They may sell their Bitcoin gains, they may sell their stock market gains, they may sell their gains in gold and silver, they may sell their gains in sports cards. The list continues. And because of that, he believed this whole system is going to collapse. And he also alluded to the fact that a lot of people are just seeing him speak in a very brash manner, but they don't know what other information he knows. He hinted at that he follows the 10-year note, he follows the 5-year note, he follows the indices. So Vegas Dave, in my opinion, he knows a lot about markets. He knows about the Federal Reserve. He knows that if you raise interest rates way above the inflation rate, the whole system's going to come collapsing down. I don't know that many people on YouTube, and I'm not dissing anyone here. This is just my analysis. I didn't see a lot of people talking about the Fed, them raising rates that will then create this boom bust cycle. I talked about it earlier on with keep interest rates too low for too long, this whole thing's going to blow up in our face. And I think there was this other guy, I think it's Jeff Nielsen or Nelson or Jeremy Nelson. I forget his name. He's on Sports Card Live. I really like his channel. He interviewed this one guy, this Persian dude. I forgot his name. Patrick something. He had the card that was sold for over $1 million. It was the Wayne Gretzky card, one of the few cards out there, the PSA 10, the O-Pee-Chee. And he was also talking about interest rates and the Federal Reserve and how it's going to come tumbling down in the next few years. But anyways, going back to Vegas Dave. So Vegas Dave, he did make some good points. Now, what I would criticize, like I mentioned, he did call himself the GOAT. I think that's a little bit egotistical. And also, if he's alluding to a crash like the Great Depression or something similar on that note, why wouldn't you be talking about trouble with the banks? I've been following Avi Gilbert. He's really good at markets. He picks the tops better than most people. He picks bottoms better than most people. He doesn't get everything right. And he's talking about a potential banking crisis in the next few years. It sounds insane, but he's not insane. He doesn't talk crazy. Some of the analysts that I follow, someone in the gold and silver markets, they talk all these conspiracy theories. He doesn't talk conspiracy theories. And if Avi Gilbert is thinking about transferring his money to some regional bank that is rated very well, and he doesn't trust the big banks, that makes me think, okay, I'm seeing a lot of people that I follow and are worried about the next few years. And Avi Gilbert saying, I don't trust the big banks. So maybe one criticism of Vegas Dave is, are the banks going to be in a strong position in the next few years? Could it be worse than 2008? That's just one thought in the back of my head. And what happened 7-8 years ago, a lot of people didn't follow this, but I follow weird things. Greece and Cyprus in Europe, they had trouble with debt, their banking system. And what ended up happening was there were things called bail-ins, where the banks were bailed out by the government, but some depositors had to take a hit, usually those with over 100,000 euros from my memory. Now I'm just thinking, if it's really bad as Avi Gilbert's saying and Vegas Dave, are banks going to do some sort of bail-in thing? Are they going to do that? That's just my thought process. It doesn't necessarily have to happen. There's the FDIC. Does it have all the money? No. But will they come up with the money some way, somehow? They could. So those are my thoughts about Vegas Dave. But now going on to GaryVee. GaryVee was talking about sports cards a few months ago. He was very enthusiastic about it. And he was saying that this Fleer 86 Jordan is going to go to $1 million. And then it went all the way up to 40,000, 750,000 on Golden auctions. Do you know what was one of the last auctions on Golden? I talked about it in the last few videos. It was about $230,000 on Golden. This was the week of June 26th, just a few weeks ago. That's really interesting. You've had over a 50% correction within 4 months. Now, my thought process is, what's going to happen in the next 18 to 24 months? assuming Vegas Dave is right, assuming Avi Gilbert's right. That's what I'm looking at. Now, I do like the fact that not Vegas Dave, but Gary Vee is a very positive guy. He always preaches to think positive. That's good. I'm a cynical person, so when I see someone being positive, that's a good thing. You know, Vegas Dave, on the other hand, he's a very brash guy. I do appreciate the fact that he's telling you what he's thinking. So that's a good thing. And I always tell people, once again, to listen to people, even though it makes you feel uncomfortable. Forget about confirmation bias. Don't watch anyone because they're telling you what you want to hear. You're not going to make money that way. It's just going to make you feel good for a certain amount of time. It's just a short term way of making you feel better that, okay, even though I'm losing money, it's all right that I'm in here because this person says so. That's the worst thing you could do. And once again, listen to everyone if you have the time, or listen to people that you trust. Going back to Gary Vee. So the criticism I have about Gary Vee, he hasn't given a concrete timetable. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. He does indicate, yeah, this thing is going to crash. Okay, that's good. He's saying that. But when? Maybe 3 years, 4 years? I don't know what he's thinking. And Gary Vee is going to be going to the Chicago show based on a few videos that he's done. And on top of it, he said that I'm going to be buying the Fleer 86 Jordan and I'm going to be doing videos about it. I'm going to be showing them, and most likely on his YouTube channel. So my question, I was thinking that back in my head, is he pumping and dumping? The logical thing would be, okay, he has millions and millions of dollars. Why would he be pumping and dumping? It makes no sense for him to do that. The cynical part of me is like, he just may be doing that because he just wants to make the most money possible. And there's no way to know if he's going to be selling these Jordans if he just shows one of his Jordan cards. What if he has 5 of these cards and he decides once he shows them, he's already sent a card or two to Golden Auctions and he's bought them at a much lower price than where it is even right now. If you have it go up to a few $100,000 up and you bought it at $30,000, $40,000, you're still good in the money. So those are the things that I'm thinking. Right now, I do value that Vegas Dave is being a bit more honest in what he thinks. It may be brash, but I do like that fact. I don't like the fact that he's calling himself the GOAT. Just a little cocky and arrogant. Gary Vee, on the other hand, I like his positive energy. I like the fact that he's made some good calls in the past. But at the end of the day, he was still pumping up. I shouldn't say pumping. He was still really positive about sports cards at that moment, where the sentiment was really high. I showed in a few videos on Google Trends. It was 100% sentiment for sports cards in March of this year. And then he went on to NFTs, and then the NFT thing blew up. He did caution people about NBA Top Shot. He didn't want to criticize the guy, but he did hint and allude, hey, you know what? It seems a bit frothy and a lot of people are going to get hurt. And the NFTs, maybe 3% of people are going to make money on it. Not 3%, but 3% of the NFTs long term are going to make money. So, yes, he is saying some good things out there. That being said, I do want to see how the next few months evolve. I do want to see what Gary Vee is going to do. I do see some comments that they believe Gary Vee's pumping. I cannot prove that he's pumping for himself or for other people. At the end of the day, I would like to see some more details on what he thinks or when he thinks this whole thing is going to blow up. Gary Vee, in my opinion, knows a lot more than what he's saying. He talks like an average guy, but he has a very high IQ. And I'm not sure what he knows about the Federal Reserve because the Federal Reserve is really important in terms of these markets right now, in terms of this boom bust cycle, which I see once again in the next few years. Vegas Dave sees this in the next few years. Avi Gilbert sees this in the next few years, and he doesn't even look at fundamental analysis. He looks at Elliott wave theory, which is completely different. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about Vegas Dave and GaryVee. Once again, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below, guys. Thanks. Bye.